Here, David Taylor. It's Sunday, a couple days before competition. We're here in Albania. How have things been since you got on the ground here?
It's been good. I mean, we were talking about this resort, and it's a lot nicer than some of the places I've been before. But once you come over here, it's pretty much all the same. Like you acclimate the first day, then you just get your training in, and whether you're here or somewhere else, you just kind of figure out the routine and go with it.
Yeah. You've talked about, I saw your video that you posted on your social media talking about the weight and 86, 92. How are you feeling at 92? What is the cut like for you, if any?
Yeah, I feel really good at 92. I mean, I think I don't really check my weight very much. I never really did, even when I was going to 86, because it's just the week of. It's going to be the week of for the most part, But it's a lot better. I mean, this is pretty much what I weighed when I was going down to 86. I'd weigh between 210 and 215 when I would go down. So that's about what I weigh now, going to 202. So, I think most international guys don't really cut a lot of weight. So I'll probably still be relatively the same size, but just feel obviously a lot better not having to worry about the weight element.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting situation. It seems like all the athletes are at this resort. Have you and Sadulaev or Gaspar even crossed paths? Have you seen him?
I don't think they're here yet. Typically, obviously we got to come earlier because of our time adjustment, and I think we're just a little more, probably take that part a little more serious. So most of these countries are probably rolling in around today or so.
Okay.
Because they're not traveling as far, the time change is not as much, and they probably are just going to get a little more training in their places before coming here.
Yeah.
Because it would be like us, going from, Oklahoma City to Philadelphia,
right.
Probably for them. So I think it's probably get in here soon, yeah.
Okay, good deal. As you assess yourself from World Team Trials to now, how different, better are you feeling?
Fine. I mean, I think going in the World Team Trials, it was more just, we kind of talked about this before.
Yeah.
I just had to wrestle. I just had to just make sure I was in wrestling shape to go and compete. And here obviously just a little more specific training. I mean, there's good guys here, but really just around stuff that Sadulaev does, and just being prepared for that to the best of your abilities. But I mean, I've been thinking about it. It's just at some point I'm just gonna have to throw myself in there and see what's gonna work, what's not gonna work. And then kind of evaluate in the match probably. But yeah, I feel good.
Yeah. I guess my next question, Gaziantep is a different sort of challenge than Sadulaev. Is there any opponents you face that you think kind of have similarities that mirror Gaziantep?
Yeah, I don't think not to downplay what Gaziantep does, but what he does is pretty straightforward. He's really good at what he does, but he doesn't present uncertainties. It's just going to be a tough match. You just got to be ready to wrestle a really good guy for 6 minutes. He's relatively straightforward. What he does hasn't changed a lot. He's not as dynamic as like a Sadulaev is. So not to take anybody for granted. You've been here long enough. You can't. There's a lot of good guys, and when you get to this level, you get the best from those guys as long as they can do it for. So if you make it hard on them, it's not as long. If you make it easier on them, you get their best for a little longer.
Yeah. And thinking about Sadulaev, the positions are kind of known, but a lot is made of the chest lock, gut wrench, and you're not taken down often, and I can't recall a parterre turn that how comfortable do you feel defending a gut? Obviously there's nothing like his probably, but what's your general comfort and success level of parterre defense?
Yeah, I think in the past it was like, well, how many guys can take me down, frequently enough that I'd have to defend that.
Yeah.
He's different. Obviously he's got the skill to do it. So it could be have to defend more than one time scenario. So so Bill came down a couple weeks after, so maybe 4 weeks ago, with Coach Mo. Obviously he was the developmental coach or involved with Greco for a really long time, and we worked through some gut wrench stuff and just gave me a couple key things to focus on, and I've just kind of been focusing on those things. I mean, a lot of gut wrench defense is feel and reaction, so you just not overreacting and knowing if and when you're in danger, how to kind of be ahead of it. And then worked with Bill actually yesterday on another little thing that I think helps. So you just got to delay it, delay the lock, and just like anything else, I think a lot of guys in wrestle Sadulaev, they're beat before they step out there. And they just stop. Like they get in Sadulaev's best positions and then they just stop wrestling. And they're almost like they're okay getting beat in those positions. So, just got to challenge them and make it hard. So obviously, hopefully takes more out of them if and when we get there. It's not as, fresh and you're not just sitting there,
Yeah.
But easier probably said than done.
Something you hear some wrestlers think about, and even the elite, like they think about an opponent and they focus on a position almost too much, or overly analytical. Is that something where you're like, this is probably a wrestler where it's so specific? Do you worry about that, or is that something you've dealt with in the past?
Yeah, so I think for me, I've never really had to game plan specific for people. They have to do way more game planning for me than I do for them. And I'm sure they are for me too, right? But how many Russians can they go find to wrestle how I wrestle? Gonna be hard.
Yeah.
You can find people that can chest lock and gut wrench, but they're not as good as he is either, right? So I think hyper-focusing in this area, I have spent some time doing it, but then you start hyper-focusing it and then you start changing what you're doing. You change your entry because you're just trying to wrestle those areas, So I think it still comes down to, I'm gonna have to execute my stuff, more than one time. So, it's just, there's no avoiding the chest wrap. You're gonna get there. It's a matter of finishing, wrestling through it. That's obviously the exciting thing about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun thing. Obviously just got to get there, got to make sure you're focused. When you are there.
It's going to be a unique experience for you. First time where you're wrestling at World Championships. No Penn State guys in your corner. It's going to be Jimmy and Coach Sadek, I presume. What's that experience been like as you've gotten ready for these World Championships and knowing it's going to be different this time?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, Jimmy and I were just talking about this, how unique this situation is in wrestling and just the uniqueness of Jimmy, being involved in my preparation. It's been really good because I feel like it's been great because two things. One, obviously Jimmy's really helped me prepare. But two, getting to spend time with Jimmy and realizing how good he is at what he does, So you can see why, as a coach, the guys that have been around Jimmy and wrestled with Jimmy, why they're so successful. If you look at his track record of college wrestlers that he spent time with, I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. Going back to Northwestern, his time at Penn State, I mean, you wrestle with Jimmy, you're winning. So I've been able to just kind of, when I'm in that mode, I'm just listening to what he's got for me. And it's nice because I can turn it off. And, I'm just kind of the student, And so I think he does a good job. And he can see when, okay, well, maybe we got to slow it down a little bit, make sure we're focused, make sure you're getting reps, make sure you're feeling good. And it's been a communication back and forth, What I told him was, in getting ready for the World Team Trials, I said, if I'm only wrestling if I'm being serious about this. If we come across a time when I'm saying, I want to, I don't want to do it, then I'm not doing it. So I think he kind of was always kind of not testing me, but making sure I'm doing it for the right reasons, and then realizing, okay, when you are all in, we're gonna get ready, focus.
Yeah.
Same thing for the World Championships. There's been definitely doubt at times because of everything else that goes on, and he's helped me kind of just work through that stuff. And when we're doing that, just a lot of compartmentalizing. And I think he's really helped me there.
Good. For the team, since you've made the return and the lead up, what are some of the questions or the conversations you're having with the team kind of around this that you're having that are maybe exciting for you?
It's not really something that was really discussed a lot because it came to what they were doing. You would never know that I was getting ready for something.
Yeah.
What I was doing was never a detriment to the team, its preparation and its needs. If I was wrestling with somebody, I was wrestling with them. I looked at it at 9 in the morning. I was wrestling, and whatever guy came in with me, I was wrestling. It was like I was training. In the afternoon when I wrestle guys, it was for their needs or what they needed, so I feel that they all feel really excited. It's just these kids, the kids of Oklahoma State they've never been around.
Yeah.
They've never been around that, So I think that they're enjoying it, seeing it. Because we talk about it. We're talking about, the level of expectation that we have, for a program and what we're trying to do. So I think they're seeing it real time, and I think it's just really helped them. I think it's helped them.
Yeah, I'm sure. Is it knowing, when you wrestled at the trials, you didn't know that was potentially your last thing, your last competition, and it wasn't, fortunately. But now knowing the finality, is there a different emotional weight to the moment? Is it feel a little different? Or are you not even really there?
I think it's just nice knowing. I think, obviously, I think this year you don't know. You're like, maybe it's another year, maybe it's 3 more years, maybe it's 4 more years. I think that was where I was probably struggling with the most. Where this knowing that this is the last one, it just gives you. I just think you appreciate all the little things. You appreciate just the journey to get here, and I always just wanted to be the best at what I did. So if it was as a youth wrestler, middle school, high school, college, internationally, whatever the highest thing was, and even then I wasn't really thinking about winning. It was like, how can I dominate? How can I separate myself from everybody else? So I was never really ever focused on just the winning part of it. So I think going to this thing, and why I think I wanted to wrestle at the trials was, it wasn't really about winning. It was just about finishing a career the way I started it, with that same intention, not trying to hold on to something, just go out and wrestle. And I think going to this is the same, and it's even better because there's really unique challenges to this tournament.
Yeah.
It's not just like a mindless one. Well, if I just show up and just do what I do, I'll win. It's like, no, that may not even be enough, right? You got to be ready to go mentally. You got to be ready for some serious battles. So I think being grateful for that, reminding myself of what it's taken to get here, and appreciating that, and just enjoying these moments, because at the end of this tournament in 4 days, it's the last thing I'll ever do that is centered around myself.
Yeah.
At the end of this, it's serving everybody else, and utilizing these times to help them when they're getting ready for the national semis, the national finals, or the world semis, or the world finals. We've been there. We've helped them, and it's utilizing these moments to help them in those times when they're feeling whatever they're feeling. So I think that's kind of what goes into it. And the reality is, I'm here because I want to be here and I want to wrestle. So it's just remembering that. When you step out there, just go do that.
Yeah. You and Jordan Burroughs are on a team. That's obviously historic. You guys have been on teams together in the past, but saw you guys had some interactions. What's that been like, being around Jordan? He's a little. It's not as sure with him if this will or won't be his final, but certainly coming towards the end. What's it been like training around Jordan?
It's been good. I think with Jordan, I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's he's the competitor that he is he's just a competitor. He just has competed at a high level for such a long time, and you appreciate that. You appreciate being around winners. When you're doing this and you're around, we've been working out at pretty much the exact same time. So he's going through what he's going through, and I'm going through the workout that I'm going through, and there's a lot of probably symmetry to that, because we know exactly what we need out of those workouts. So I just think there's this level of kind of, I don't even know what the word is, intensity, appreciation in the room, which is pretty cool. You kind of look over, see what he's doing. He's looking over, kind of seeing what we're doing, and then, we kind of talked a little bit about that, kind of how getting to this point and wrestling in this tournament, So, yeah, it's cool. It's whether he continues or not. it's a hard thing to do to finish on top. You know, you never know as a competitor when that's going to be. You know, we probably all dream that's going to happen. You know, he's got a great chance to do it this weekend. Whether he chooses to continue wrestling or not, I think, you know, going out and wrestling the way he wants to wrestle, you know, winning this weekend probably gives him a lot more peace about what's next for him.
Do you think him seeing you jump into coaching, do you think that stimulated anything in his mind to maybe jump in someday?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think probably, you know, I think it, you know, it just probably everyone probably changes their mentality a little bit, you know, on it. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that he's thought about it. I'm sure him and his wife have talked about it. I'm sure programs have thought about it.
Yeah.
You know, our staff has made a pretty big impact in a short period of time in wrestling, you know, so I think it's cool to see wrestling moving forward, you know, in a lot of different ways. So you see a youth movement in a lot of other sports. You see it in youth movement and coaching and how it changes things, you know, and maybe wrestling is in an era where they want to start moving in that direction too.
Yeah, could definitely see it being that way. Man, I think I'm out of questions for right now, David. Do you have anything else before I let you get back to your day?
Not much, you know. Yeah, it's pretty surreal to kind of be here. You know, however many months ago, I thought there was zero chance I'd be sitting here talking to you guys or getting ready to wrestle World Championship, you know. So it's just really grateful to be here, and just like anything else, you got to go out and wrestle the matches. So
yeah,
that's what I got to do.
Well, it's surreal for me too. Like having literally, I feel like I've watched your entire career. My freshman year, and you beat Novichkov in the Ironman finals. Like, what is this guy? And then to see it come, and now that it's surreal that I'm here sitting with you for this. So thank you for your time, and can't wait to watch you on Wednesday and Thursday. All right, part two, I forgot to ask, definitely didn't bury the lead, but I forgot to ask about the addition of Zahid Valencia. How did that come about, adding him to the RTC roster?
Yeah, I mean, it happened really pretty fast. You know, I think Zahid has just been, he's been one of the best guys. He's just been behind some really good guys, you know, and it's funny because I've talked to Ruben a lot, his dad. You know, he's just like, I just wish he, you know, could get through, you know. He's just been through some really tough times. And, you know, Ruben and I used to talk about youth training, you know, because he runs the youth kids in California, and that's kind of what I was doing before this. And I think, I mean, it's a logical move for Zahid, you know, but he just basically, he's reached out to me a handful of different times, different things, and I think he just, you know, he's like, hey, can I come train there? And, you know, I just said, well, yeah, I mean, these are a couple of things concerns that I have. We talked through those things, and he pretty much had his mind really made up, you know, and I see it. It's funny because when I got the job, he was the first person I thought about in the RTC.
Really?
I thought about, man, what's a guy that's got a, you know, really good chance of kind of breaking through and could be a good, you know, resource for our team. And obviously Zahid made a lot of sense. And then, you know, I just decided to wrestle, so probably didn't make a lot of sense at that point.
Yeah.
But then, and then afterwards, you know, we just been moving, didn't really think again about it. But he's just a guy that, I mean, I'm really excited to help him. You know, I just think he's a guy, when I wrestled him, I'm like, shoot, you got to really be ready for what he does. You know, there wasn't a lot of people towards the end that I had to really think about what they did, you know, but he was a guy that, you know, he has a lot of skill. He has the pedigree, he has the success. Just, I think for him, we just got to get his confidence back to a little bit. You know, he's just been right there. And he's had some really crazy things happen to him. Think about a headgear pull in the national semis.
Yep.
You think about a singlet pull in the Olympic trials semis, right? You're looking at a career where you're like, it could be easily discouraged, you know, for a guy. But I think obviously just in talking with him, he's still very hungry and excited. So just excited to help him. And I think, you know, really, really looking forward to him being in Stillwater.
Yeah, you cite the singlet pull. I mean, that was like, as soon as you were hired, everyone's like, this is like the ripple effect. Like, maybe if he doesn't pull the singlet, and then you know you've had you had success against the Heat, and you're on the team, and then it's so different. So it's crazy how you guys are linked, and now him at Stillwater. 86 is a weight that it feels like he's going to be in the driver's seat there, because it sounds like Aaron's not going to be at 86 anymore. You're retiring. So do you feel like he can really kind of be the man for this quad and beyond potentially?
I think so. He's been pretty much that guy. He just had some inconsistencies, so we just got to help him with some structure and probably just helping him a little more consistent. And I have some thoughts just from wrestling him, that areas that I think are relatively quick adjustments that he can make. But he's going to have to do the work,
Yeah.
But I think helping him, challenging him. I just think having someone that can challenge him consistently in our room. Our room can challenge him. When you think about our upper weights that we have on our team this year, that's going to be a really good training environment for him. And it's going to be a great training environment for those guys to have. Zahid's a very, very strong-willed competitor. So, I think he's in a good spot. He seems to be very coachable. We kind of already talked to him about a little bit of a plan of what I thought to do, and he's just like, I'm ready to. I want to win, so let me know what I need to do.
It seems like, I would have assumed there's some awkwardness there. You kept him off a couple of teams and been competitors. Was there not much awkwardness in the interactions and conversations?
I don't think so. I think when obviously when I wrestled him in New York, obviously he was really confident that he was going to win that.
Yeah.
And I think since then, but even then, I always feel like we've had obviously a lot of respect for each other, so no, not really. I think you get to a point where you as a competitor, sometimes you just know what you need, and you just put everything aside, and this is what I need. And I think that's kind of where he was at. And it makes a lot of sense. And that's what I really liked about him. For Zahid to reach out, it just kind of really speaks a lot that he's looking for something, and hopefully we can help him there.
Yeah. I think that's all I have. Did I miss anything on the Zahid front? No. Can't believe I forgot to ask about this. Thanks. And I do know what I was going to ask. As you're looking to build the RTC, obviously you've been able to get Roman and Zahid, but how much effort are you going to put into keeping some of the guys, because you have a lot of really tough seniors, keeping them around into the RTC ecosystem?
Yeah, I think we just, to wrestle in college and to wrestle internationally, sometimes it just seems like the easy thing to do, but if you're not in it, it becomes a very hard thing to do. You just get stuck. So I just think this year, let's focus on being the best that we can be.
Yeah.
And then let's sit down and see what your goals are, and what can we do and how can we help you. The goal for the RTC is to have a long-term plan for our college guys, right? We want to keep people around, but we want people that are serious about training, and want to do it. And all of our guys very well seem to have that mentality. So right now, I think it's just focus on the task at hand through March, and then obviously we'll sit down with those guys and see what they want to do, and if we can help them, we want to help them.
Cool. Thanks so much, Dave. Appreciate it.